Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It's 5:07 here this Monday morning, 15th day of September, halfway through the month of September now and creeping up on the first day of fall, and we've made it through a important weekend. We all needed a break to recharge, to unplug, to let the sun kiss our face a little bit. And to be with our friends and our family and our Lord as we held vigils and memorialized Charlie Kirk. And sadly, for some of us, we also stayed on top of the news and saw what was going on and how the media continues to lie about this story. Not here. We'll continue to tell you the truth, unafraid, every single day. And we've got lots of friends to help us do it, including at 7:05, Joe DeGeneva. Joe DeGeneva will join us, by the way, I am told on very good authority, from the shores of Lake Como in Italy. Julie Gunlock, how are we feeling about Joe DeGeneva calling in from Lake Como?
I'm not bitter.
Well, I am. He actually sent me pictures yesterday. Look where I am. This is what I'll be looking at while I talk to you tomorrow with my Aperol Spritz and Prosecco. At 7:35, Rob O'Donnell will join us. 8:05, David Bozell, cover how the media has comported themselves. Spoiler alert, they are who we've always known them to be. And at 8:35, Adam Gillette of Accuracy in Media. He is leading the charge to expose people who have been celebrating the assassination of a 31-year-old father of two toddlers. Because, sadly, there's a lot of people to keep track of who celebrated this. And, Julie, it's not like these are random, gamers living in their mother's basement who are deciding under the cloak of anonymity to put out horrible things. These are people who have felt emboldened to celebrate the murder of Charlie Kirk using their name, using their face, and you scratch the surface and you find out these are professionals, these are judges, these are professors, these are doctors, these are nurses, these are lawyers, these are elected officials who feel completely emboldened to stand up in the public forum on social media and say, I am glad this person was murdered, he deserved it. I hoped to emerge this weekend with a little bit of strength and hope and positivity, and I do have quite a bit of that, and plus much of it will be exposed as the morning goes on. But at the same time, some of the depravity has been downright demoralizing and terrifying, for that matter. How are you holding up?
Yeah, well, it's the first time I'm on the show since the murder, the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and I just want to take a moment to say, Larry, you are just a ray of sunshine, honestly, because I was listening to the show, as I do on Thursday and Friday, and boy, you really helped all of us get through it. I have to say, I turned to my husband. I didn't sleep much. I don't think people slept much last week, and I said, I'm so glad I'm not on. I could not keep it together. I'm having trouble keeping it together right now.
If Julie were on Thursday and Friday, it would have been like nonstop 4 hours of
expletives
of the opening scene of Patton, the movie with George C. Scott, with the same costume. By the way, she's actually wearing the World War II tank brigadier general's uniform
I appreciate you making me laugh because I was about to burst into tears. And honestly, it is hard, I think, to keep it together. I had a hard weekend. I have four kids. I've added a kid.
Wow. I
have three kids.
I would think you would have remembered the labor and delivery of that fourth one, but it just occurred to you.
I'm losing my mind. I have three teenage boys. That is the demographic that he was trying to reach. And so I just do want to give you a shout out because I think, and you and Heather and it was, and Bethany and Patrice, it was a difficult week last week. So well done.
Thank you.
And I woke up, you'd think I would, on Monday, I'd be sort of better shape. I'm not. I'm more angry. I'm not settling down. And I know there's a lot of positives to come out of this, but over the last, 5 days, seeing nurses and teachers and very normal parts of our society react with such viciousness has been very hard. It's been very hard to take, Larry. Sorry to be negative.
No, it is hard to
shocking.
take, but and listen, it's a human reaction to sort of experience something and that is a shock to the system and try to hold on to or grasp something from your own past, something from your own lived experience to be able to latch onto and say, oh, okay, this is just like this. So now I can cope with this the way I coped with that. Yeah. And so that's why, forgive me, people of our generation, Julie, have been, as David Marcus posted this on X the other day, because he's a Gen Xer too, people of our generation have been thinking about Andrew Breitbart a lot lately, because there's so many similarities. And by the way, Charlie had greater reach than Andrew did and had, worldwide attention. And Andrew was a bit of a niche thing, but for us, he was everything. He was as inspiring and as important. And, they were despicable to him, too, when he died. And he wasn't murdered in front of us.
Yeah.
He died of a congenital heart condition, and they would not let him rest in peace for a minute. It was the same thing. But now it's magnified times 100. And there are moments like this that do sort of galvanize and turn on that Klieg light spotlight to show you who you really are and show all of us who you are. And it's been bad, the reaction, sadly. I wish I could point out the people who have transcended their hate. John Fetterman is the only one that comes to mind at the moment who went out of his way again to be a human being.
He's very consistent. He is, but it's so shocking. And to see people, I mean, look, she's a clown, but Jasmine Crockett, continuing to ramp up the sort of assassination prep is just despicable. And I know it's her, so I shouldn't be surprised. Mm-hmm. But again, it's the normies, as they like to say, the normal people in society reacting to this, the college students reacting to this so viciously that has me really down. You don't want to, we're parents, Larry. You don't want to send your kids out into this world,
Right. And their hate has been exposed. They've exposed it, by the way. They've celebrated it, and they've been very proud to show the world their hate because they've been lulled into the sense of security that their views, their hatred is acceptable and celebrated because, well, it is. Because when Stephen Colbert wins an Emmy Award last night for spending the last decade calling Trump and his voters Nazis and fascists, which dehumanizes us and makes it easier to justify putting a bullet in our throats, well, our culture and our society and our media and our public institutions have said it's okay. These people don't deserve your respect or basic human dignity. And as it's been exposed and as we found out who they were, there have been some cooler heads that have prevailed in the institutions that they work at that said, yeah, you're not wanted here anymore. And they've been fired. And now suddenly I'm supposed to feel sorry about that. That I am supposed to be a hypocrite because, I thought you didn't like cancel culture. Yeah, let me explain the difference between cancel culture and people getting fired for celebrating the assassination of a 31-year-old father of two toddlers. We'll pour into that a little bit coming up in just a moment, plus some highlights from last night's vigil at the Kennedy Center and some other reflections here as we get things going on a Monday morning in your nation's capital. It's 5:15.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
So if you get fired wearing a MAGA hat at your workplace because it triggers somebody who voted for Hillary Clinton, that's cancel culture. If you're sitting around the coffee machine and somebody asks you what you did over the weekend and you said you you went to a Trump rally and you get fired because people don't want to work with someone who votes a certain way. That's cancel culture. If a comedian whose job it is to tell jokes for a living tells a joke that is critical of Barack Obama and or maybe radical transgender activists like Dave Chappelle, for instance, and then his career is ruined, or they attempt to ruin his career, that's cancel culture. If you are a judge and your job literally requires you to sit in judgment of somebody in an impartial way, if you're a teacher and you're expected to be some sort of representative of intelligence and wisdom and even some level of moral character, if you're a doctor and you're supposed to set all of your biases aside to treat a patient, and you are publicly celebrating the murder of a 31-year-old father of two because you didn't like his politics and the words he chose, and then you get fired, that's not cancel culture.
None of those that you just said are called, yes.
So please, can we redefine our terms here? Being against cancel culture, as we conservatives are, being pro-free speech, does not mean that you can be a monster. It doesn't mean that we're hypocrites if we suggest that perhaps Judy Briskman, a county supervisor in Loudoun County, maybe does not equally represent all of the people that live in Loudoun County, because she is in favor of Matthew Dowd saying that hate speech brings on assassination, and Charlie Kirk was asking for it. I paraphrase Matthew Dowd's words, but I'm not too far off.
Yeah, and when you're a college student who walks up to a table of people doing what Charlie Kirk used to do, which was sitting there and having conversations, and there's been a lot of really brave young people that have carried on Kirk's work, and you walk over and you laugh and you say he deserved it and you celebrate his death, and then people say on Twitter, oh, this is what this person's name is, and maybe to future employers you don't want to hire a psychopath. That's not cancel culture. That is saying this person's a sociopath or a psychopath and they might not be good for the reputation of your company. That's a warning to these companies that these people, and let me tell you, companies do this all the time. They look at people's social media accounts. That's why, thank God, my kids don't have them, okay? They look at this stuff to see what you've done in your past, what you've said. That's not cancel culture, folks. That is a company making screaming that they don't hire someone who's going to be a liability in the future.
That's right. Yeah. Forgive me for not wanting to sit on a commercial airliner knowing that the pilot celebrated the murder of somebody. Maybe if I own an airline, I don't want people's lives in the hands of somebody who is that reckless and immoral. And if I'm a parent in Chesterfield County, Virginia, and I have my children in the public school system, well, maybe I should be a little concerned about the school board member, Dot Heffron.
A Chesterfield County school board member who endorsed Abigail Spanberger said we used to be okay with shooting Nazis in response to Charlie Kirk's assassination. Abigail, do you condemn this? At this time, Democratic gubernatorial candidate Abigail Spanberger has not responded to this post. Yeah,
it's been 3 days now, and Abigail Spanberger hasn't responded. And the newsreader there down in Richmond was reading a post from Winsome Earl Sears, because Winsome Sears' campaign has pointed out that Dot Heffron said, "Call me old-fashioned, but I remember when we used to be okay with shooting Nazis." That was her Facebook post. And she's a member in good standing of the Democrat Party. She's on the Chesterfield County School Board, and Abigail Spanberger, as of now, is proud. Yeah, here's Abigail Spanberger's words. "I'm proud to announce Chesterfield County School Board member Dot Heffron's endorsement for my campaign for governor." Well, are you still proud, Abigail Spanberger? Her silence is deafening. Abigail Spanberger, as usual, at a time of crisis, at a time where everybody is publicly expressing their grief or their, excitement, like her pal there, Dot Heffron. Abigail Spanberger is nowhere to be found. She hasn't said anything about it. That's what kind of governor she'll be, just like she was after the murder of the woman on the train last week, just like she was during the ICE raids, just like she's been during she's still silent about the 2 boys who were expelled on the Loudoun County School Board. She's still silent about the abortions
issue in Fairfax. Yeah.
She is silent about the Northern Virginia school systems who have voted to do away with federal funding for that. She's silent about everything because she doesn't care about Virginia. She doesn't care about these issues. She doesn't care about Virginians or our children or about life and death, it appears. She only cares about winning this campaign, and she thinks by being silent she'll be able to fool you. But we are too wise now, Abigail. That's just the tip of the iceberg of what we've got for you this morning. Keep it here. Plenty to talk about. It's 5:23. If you unplugged over the weekend, we'll get you up to speed on what we know about the suspect in the murder of Charlie Kirk and a lot of the lies that are being said right now in the media and elsewhere. Stay here.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. WMAL. News now. Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It's 5:37. Thank you so much for being part of our morning show here, and I'm glad that we're here for you and you're here for us in times like this. At 7:05, Joe DeGeneva will be our guest. At 7:35, Rob O'Donnell, who, of course, as you know, is a former cop in New York Police Department, also a homicide detective. So he's going to help us sort through some of the details that we know and how this investigation is going. 8:05, David Bozell of Media Research Center. And 8:35, Adam Gillette, Accuracy Media, who's helping in the process of cataloging all of the people who have publicly celebrated the murder of Charlie Kirk. It's a really important venture that he's doing, by the way. Thank you so much for joining us. Julie Gunlock is here. I'm Larry O'Connor.
Glad to be talking to so many friends today. It's nice.
Yes, same here. All right. So after we went off the air on Friday, there was a press conference that occurred in Utah where we learned quite a bit about the person that was in custody. It was during the 8 o'clock hour last Friday when President Trump announced that they believed that they had the suspect in custody. He was on Fox and Friends, and he said that. And we got the details about this individual. Let's first tell you a little bit of what happened. This is the governor of Utah, Spencer Cox, cut number 1.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We got him. On the evening of September 11th, a family member of Tyler Robinson reached out to a family friend who contacted the Washington County Sheriff's Office with information that Robinson had confessed to them or implied that he had committed the incident. This information was relayed to the Utah County Sheriff's Office and scene investigators at Utah Valley University. This information was also conveyed to the FBI. Investigators reviewed additional video footage from UVU surveillance and identified Robinson arriving on UVU campus in a gray Dodge Challenger at approximately 8:29 a.m. on September 10th. In which he is observed on video in a plain maroon t-shirt, light-colored shorts, a black hat with a white logo, and light-colored shoes. When encountered in person by investigators in Washington County on September 12th in the early morning hours, Robinson was observed in consistent clothing with those surveillance images. Investigators interviewed a family member of Robinson who stated that Robinson had become more political in recent years. The family member referenced a recent incident in which Robinson came to dinner prior to September 10th, and in the conversation with another family member, Robinson mentioned Charlie Kirk was coming to UVU. They talked about why they didn't like him and the viewpoints that he had. The family member also stated Kirk was full of hate and spreading hate. The family member also confirmed Robinson had a gray Dodge Challenger.
All right, so there's a lot of physical evidence there, of course, connecting Robinson to the at the time on Friday what they believed was the murder suspect. You know, this person drives this car and is of this physical build, et cetera, et cetera. All right, and then you heard a little bit of motive questioning there about how he had publicly stated how much that he hated Charlie Kirk and that Charlie Kirk was full of hate, et cetera. Cut 2 here, a little bit more.
Investigators identified an individual as the roommate of Robinson. Investigators interviewed that roommate, who stated that his roommate, referring to Robinson, made a joke on Discord. Investigators asked if he would show them the messages on Discord. He opened it and showed several messages to investigators and allowed investigators to take photos of the screen as each message was shown by Robinson's roommate. These photos consisted of various messages, including content of messages between the phone contact named Tyler with an emoji icon and Robinson's roommate's device. The content of these messages included messages affiliated with the contact Tyler, stating a need to retrieve a rifle from a drop point, leaving the rifle in a bush, messages related to visually watching the area where a rifle was left, and a message referring to having left the rifle wrapped in a towel. The messages also refer to engraving bullets and a mention of a scope and the rifle being unique. Messages from the contact Tyler also mentioned that he had changed outfits.
All right. Now, all of that coincides with what the investigators knew about the person who shot Charlie Kirk, including all of that information about the weapon, where the weapon was found, and the description of the weapon. Obviously, we're, connecting the dots. By the way, more on that roommate in a minute, because there were revelations about the roommate and the relationship that roommate had. Apparently, they were more than just roommates. Cut 4 now regarding specifically those bullet engravings, because there's a lot of misinformation going on around the bullet engravings.
I know there's been speculation as well as to the writing on those casings, those bullet casings, and I believe we have that as well. And I will share that with you now. So the area north of Campus Drive Road where the suspect crossed over, you saw some of that in the video that we released last night, consists of a grassy area with trees on the edge of the UVU campus. Investigators discovered a bolt-action rifle wrapped in a dark-colored towel. The rifle was determined to be a Mauser Model 98 30-06 caliber bolt-action rifle. The rifle had a scope mounted on top of it. Investigators noted inscriptions that had been engraved on casings found with the rifle. Inscriptions on a fired casing read, "Notices, bulges, capital O-W-O, what's this, question mark." Inscriptions on the 3 unfired casings read, "Hey fascist, exclamation point, catch, exclamation point." Up arrow symbol, right arrow, and symbol, and 3 down arrow symbols.
Yeah, hey fascist, catch engraved on a bullet. And the New York Times now says we may never really know for sure what these engravings meant.
Yeah.
All right, little bit more on that, and a little bit more to help you explain to you these references, because a lot of them are internet memes and sayings from 4chan and various aspects of the
online
netherworlds of online living. And Andy No, who lives in this Antifa world, sadly, as an investigative reporter, has shed a lot of light on the Ciao Bella reference. We'll give it to you in a moment. 5:43.
Later this afternoon on the Derek Hunter Show, we're learning about a lot of horrible people in the wake of the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And a lot of them are our friends and neighbors. What do you do about it? We'll talk about it at 3 o'clock on WMAL.
Yeah, what do you do indeed? I've got some thoughts about that, Derek, and we'll share them during our window of time to talk to you up until 9 a.m., because I've had to confront that myself on my Facebook page, Julie. I think we're all going through that right now, where we see people, friends and neighbors, even family members, who are saying things that we never thought they were capable of. We'll get to that in a moment, but the details of what we know about this suspect. You heard about the bullet engravings, and for some reason the New York Times, we were confused. We have no idea what these things mean, which they may very well be, but last time I checked, if you're a journalist, you don't write an article talking about how confused you are. You go and find the answers, and that's what I did. I checked with Andy No. Andy No is an investigative journalist who studies Antifa for a living. That's what he does. That's all he does. His life is threatened on a regular basis because of it. The 3 down arrow symbol that you just heard explained, that used to be a symbol that was used by the Social Democrats in the Weimar Republic in opposition to communism and fascist communism. It's now been co-opted by Antifa. You see it on their flags a lot. Also, Ciao Bella. So Ciao Bella was the anthem in Italy's resistance against Hitler. and Mussolini, it's now been adopted by Antifa because they think they're fighting Hitler and Mussolini in the MAGA Trump Republican Conservative Party. So they used Bella Ciao and Ciao Bella as a symbol representing that song in the Italian resistance. They romanticize what we do. Andy No wrote on his social media pages, "It's hard for me to overstate the significance of the Charlie Kirk assassin suspect allegedly putting the lyrics of Bella Ciao on a rifle cartridge. That is probably the most important rallying song to Antifa militants for decades. The 2019 Tacoma Antifa gunman cited it in his manifesto before carrying out a deadly shooting and explosive attack at an ICE facility. One of the Los Angeles Antifa ringleaders is a man named Vishal Singh. He has been repeatedly banned on X for his calls to deadly violence. He named his company Bella Ciao Cinema." These are all triggering words and dog whistles, if I may, to get the attention of the Antifa crowd. That's what those symbols on the bullet casings mean. Now, if the New York Times is well, of course we know that it's Antifa, but that doesn't mean he's Antifa. He may have been a right-winger who was trying to implicate Antifa.
Yes,
See, it's
get
a
it,
4D chess moment.
Right.
Is what it is.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I suppose so.
They are so desperate. They are so desperate to make this guy on the right in whatever form. They're making absolute fools of themselves.
Yes.
Twisting themselves into pretzels.
You have seen people say, well, he was raised in a conservative, white, Mormon, Republican home. And he's only been away to college for less than a year. So how could you say that he's been radicalized by the left? And they say that with a straight face.
I know, as if for decades now, people have not been complaining about the indoctrination there. You know, the whole, I sent my totally reasonable kid off to college and they came back and ruined Thanksgiving by arguing with their uncle about Trump, right? Or, you know, spouting off all these Antifa talking points.
Yeah. And as if the way you were raising a child, even before they go off to college, has any direct influence on who that child ends up being. I mean, I'd like to think that it does, but no, sadly. But that's all they have. And sadly, I have to tell you, Julie, those false narratives and
I know what you're about to say. It's so depressing.
It's working. It's working. I have normie friends from my old world in Los Angeles in the entertainment business who are gladly posting on their Facebook, well, you see, this guy was a right-wing conservative, and he killed Charlie because Charlie wasn't conservative enough. That's how extreme these MAGA types are.
The Groiper?
The Groipers, yes. He was too pro-Israel. And, of course, you're also seeing people saying that he was murdered by Israel because he
know.
It's just... sometimes the truth is right in front of your face. Rob O'Donnell, a murder detective from NYPD, retired, who knows a lot about police tactics and investigative
strategies,
procedures. Sorry, Rob O'Donnell will be joining us to talk about this at 7:35. One other thing about that roommate: the roommate was a individual going through a
transition. He was transitioning.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the right word. This is a man who wanted to be a woman and was going through the medical procedures to do so. 22 years old, hasn't been charged. Name hasn't been publicly released by the authorities, but internet sleuths have found the person's name and their new name that they go by and a bit of their social media footprint. According to Fox News reporting, the trans roommate of Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin hates conservatives and Christians, according to one of the relatives of that trans roommate. There's also public eyewitness accounts of the two of them holding hands and kissing publicly. They were in a romantic relationship. This wasn't just a roommate situation. So somewhere in the radicalization here, the trans world and trans activism also comes into play. To what extent, we don't know. He hates conservatives and Christians, the relatives told Fox News Digital. He hated us. He was not raised that way, but over the years has become really detached and radicalized. He has obviously gotten progressively worse the last year or two. the relative said, adding that he's always angry, talking about the roommate. It should be said, though, the roommate has not been charged with any crimes, and apparently the roommate is fully cooperating with this investigation because the roommate has discovered that he was in love with a cold-blooded assassin. It's 5:53.